I think people believe that when you know better, you do better. But
Come
I'd
on.
like to challenge that because, yeah, when you know better, you're supposed to do better. But if you have created habits and you've created a narrative and a pathway of getting that need met very quickly versus addressing some of those unmet needs, it becomes really difficult. It's as simple as just I have this craving, and I know I'm not supposed to eat it, but it's a craving, and sometimes it's really hard to fight that.
What up? What up?
See
What
that?
up? We
Ooh,
are back
what's up?
again, man. Listen,
Back.
welcome to another edition of a Father's Heart podcast with your boys Shon and Cole. Cole, what's good, man?
And your boy Cole.
Yeah,
I don't know if you can see. You
you
know
you
the
you,
little
you
site.
must have been in the weight room.
I've been in. No, man, I was just on the floor at home doing some push-ups.
Oh, hey,
Just
that's
yeah,
listen, that is
yeah,
always legit. If that was
yeah,
ever a
yeah.
legit or not legit, that is always legit, bro. That is always legit. Man, listen,
It
man, I'm
is.
excited.
What's
I'm
up, bro?
excited. How you, man?
Man, I'm good. I don't know if you can see my chalkboard back. If you can
Oh,
see my
I
little.
can.
Can
I
you see?
can. What
Yeah,
is it?
man. Those are my affirmations.
Ooh. So
I've been
like
working on.
tell me
Yeah,
about that, bro.
yeah. So my background, my affirmations, my large chalkboard, where when I'm going up the stairs, passing through, I get an opportunity just to take a minute to remind myself all of the things that I need to tell myself to feel healthy or to feel good.
I love
You know,
it.
so
I
yeah.
love it.
Wanna,
I
so
love it.
we, so what you been up to, man?
Listen, I'll tell you what I've been up to since you're talking about it. You see, I don't know if you can see it. You see that?
Oh, yeah, yeah. What's,
That is I made a vision board and I
uh,
did it on Canva. And I know I have my vision board, my book, or whatever the case, but I got
yeah,
it from
yeah,
my daughter, man. I went on Canva and I just made a vision board, right? And I put it on my phone. And then, so that way it's like on my phone, like the vertical.
yeah.
And then I made one to go on my desktop computer. So when
Huh.
I'm on there, I can see everything that I'm passionately pursuing this year, man. So yeah,
Okay.
man, I'm excited, bro. And the crazy
That's
thing about it is that I told you about that I was coming up with a word for the year. I'm connected to a couple people, man. We are holding each other accountable. And bro,
yes,
man,
sir.
the things that like the habits that I
Mm,
had in 2023 have been at bay, right? Not saying that those habits didn't want to come back, right?
okay.
But what happened is that now, by me having this word, and I already told you, my word is intentional. And so when the bad habits or the old habits try to creep back in, I throw out the word while I'm thinking about being intentional. I'm like, yo, does this line up? Are we being intentional about our time, about our relationships, about what I'm doing? And bro, man, like these first 20 days, these 19 days been like incredible, man. Been so
Oh,
productive. Like really, really, really productive. Yeah, yo.
that's
So,
that sounds like a muscle flex, man.
oh,
Building
man,
that muscle.
trying to, but not trying to. I am, bro. I
Yeah,
am.
man. Yeah. No,
So
that's
listen,
good.
man, I'm
That's
excited, man, about the topic that we gonna tap into tonight, man. Yeah, it's one that's necessary, man, and I definitely have something I want to share. I'm glad that you chose this topic tonight about men and therapy, men. With our health, man. It's important, bro. And I don't think that we really have maximized
no.
or really. And I know therapy, right, is a lot more acceptable today to discuss it and talk about it. Um, but I really want to, especially with the new year, um, to really tap in, man, and
Yeah.
go to that place, right? So So I'll let you take it from here, man, because I really love the way that you was approaching it. What you was talking
Yeah.
about.
No, Sean, I was just, just thinking about how men, deal with issues around depression or anxiety, or just the workload of balancing. We always talk about balancing work, family, and life. And one of the things I started doing this year is I'm like, okay, I think it might be time to get back into therapy, right? And so I started researching, therapists, and I could tell you just the idea of researching a therapist, going online. I think I went to Psychology Today, and I just started going through the possible list of therapists that I might potentially want to connect with. And I started noticing something as I was doing it. I was saying to myself, man, can I have a therapist that is in the same proximity as me, working in the same field as me? Does it make sense to connect with a therapist from that space? And then I started asking that question. Then that led to me thinking, oh, well, man, if I go to a therapist that I have previously worked with, because of the work that we all do in the social work space, will what I share really be held with a level of confidentiality? And I got nervous about that. So I'm like, well, no, maybe I shouldn't work with somebody that I've at least come in contact with, had a meeting with, saw in passing in the community. So I started branching out. But then as I was branching out looking for therapists, then it came up, do you want a male therapist or a female therapist? And I was like, well, I don't really know if I want a male or female therapist. And then how do you make that decision? And then there's a scroll down bar, and then there's a host of options you have to sort of pick from. And I felt almost overwhelmed by the variety of options that were given for me to just pick out, a therapist, almost to the point that I started getting anxiety just by going through the process. And I'm like, well, do I want a black male therapist? Do I want an older therapist? Do I want a younger therapist? And then I started noticing as I was going through that, I was making judgment calls and biases. I'm like, because they give you the pictures too of the therapist. And I was like, oh, she don't look like she can handle this. Or, no, he looked real young. Why did he pose like that in that picture? You a clinician. So all this stuff was going through my head while I was trying to pick out a therapist and still not really sure, okay, I struggle with anxiety pretty heavy, but but I also struggle with PTSD. So it became all of these options to choose from. And before you know it, I just shut down the computer and I got to thinking, well, maybe that's not the best way to go. Maybe I need to get a reference or somebody to refer me. But it just became almost overwhelming for me, because I was like, well, I don't know who I should pick. And so that became a challenge. And so part of the question I have is like when you're looking to find a therapist, I would be really curious in what ways are the best, I don't know, the best route. Is it just a simple cold call and jump on Google? Or does it require a little bit more deep dive work in terms of really kind of picking out who you think might be a best fit?
Yeah,
Um, so that's been my major challenge is sort of picking out, a therapist with the array of
yeah,
options that they have out there.
yeah, man. That's a really good question, right? And so me, bro, I'm not going to speak on an area that I'm not an
Yeah,
authority
yeah,
in,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
But I think you bring up a very, very, very good point, man. And I would be curious to hear what the audience, man. What up, John? What up, Jody? My peoples, man. So yeah, definitely chime in, right? Because you asked that question. Um, I would say that me personally, I've been spoiled, right? Because my best friend, um, you know, is a therapist, right? And so I would lean on him. However, However,
yeah. Because
um,
I had some thoughts about that.
yeah, right. So this is the thing, right? So there's the however. Um,
Yeah,
I think there's a however. I think personally that I should have and should go to a therapist outside of my friend,
yeah,
right? Um, and I'll be honest, I justify sometime why I don't go, is because I'm like, yo, I don't have the time. And then when I'm doing work with other people, because I do, and I'm just talking about me, I
Yeah,
do
yeah,
so much personal work and development that I'm like, Shon, you all right? And I don't know if I'm totally all right
yeah,
because, I am intentional about my own self care and self work because I will do my personal work of like, man, you need to do better in this area. I do extend grace to myself. I am intentional, like, yep, you know what? This is a blind spot. You need to correct it.
yeah,
So I do that. And so I don't know if I justify, bro, why I don't go to a therapist, right? And I probably need to. And I, with full disclosure, there is some stuff that I've been working through for years, and I know that I'm 1,000 times better. But I was triggered this
yeah,
past week, right? I was triggered, and the crazy thing about it is like my wife knew, right? She was like, "Yo, you good?" Or she'd throw out, "You've been eating nails." And I know what she
mm,
mean by that, right? So I know when I'm in a place where I was triggered or something is on my mind, because I'll start walking heavy around the
okay,
house,
okay,
right?
I,
So
yeah,
she like, oh, you walking heavy, and I ain't talking about the gospel. You know what I mean? They say that in church. They were like, oh, he walking heavy now. You know what I mean? Like because you preaching good, but
yeah,
no, you know what I mean? My wife really know when I'm in a certain space, right?
yeah,
And I'd be like, "Nah, I'm good, I'm straight," and she like, "No, you're not
yeah,
straight." And I don't, you know what I mean? I don't be straight, but I still have to go. I still have to do, and so I know, right? Like, so what you're talking about, I know I still need to go see somebody just to talk about it, right?
yeah,
Just to talk about these things, man, that I have uh, deemed to be that I got past, but I know still live there, right? And it's almost like what George talked about before. It's like searching the computer, you know what I mean? And you get to that drop down, boom, and all of that data from where you used to search pop up. And
yeah,
so I was triggered, man, and I just started. I just started a little bit today,
mm,
coming out of it. You know what I mean? But I'm still navigating through that thing or whatever.
yeah,
So when you bring up that question, man, it's a very good, um, it's a very good question, man. Like, how do you choose? And I would like to pose, like, not only when do you choose, when do you go, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think, I
Thanks,
don't
Jody.
necessarily, I don't have anyone. Yeah, yeah, I don't have anyone in my life right now. Like, just I live alone, so I can publicly say that. But I don't have anyone that can say, "Hey, Cole, you walking hard, bro."
Mm. Yep.
I don't have anybody. So I think sometimes too, when you don't necessarily have anyone that's that close to you to say, "Hey, you walking heavy," you have to be able to have the insight or the foresight to be able to hear it within yourself. And I'll be honest. Yeah, I'll just be transparent about it. Part of me is like, well, I don't know if I'm even supposed to tell people that I'm struggling with my mental health, with all of the responsibilities and the role that I play in the community. Because if I say that, how these folks are now going to look at me? Oh, he's unstable? Can he actually do his job? Right? But I'll tell you this, man. I'm like, was it 2 days ago? I'm crying uncontrollably, and I can't even figure out. I'm saying to myself while I'm crying, I'm like,
Come on,
what am I
Cole.
crying about? And I'm like, I just have all this pent up, whatever it is, and I'm just crying, and I can't figure out why I'm crying. And I could cry right now, and I just am like, I got to talk to somebody, but I'm like, I don't really know who to. I know who to talk to, right? Because I've got friends too that are therapists, but I'm like, I'm just I don't even have the words for it. And I know about self-care. I talk about it. I'm always training people and adding it into the curriculum. Like, you've got to practice self-care. And I'm taking the deep breaths and I'm walking outside, but um I'm still trying to figure out what's also happening to me as I'm starting to come into the truth, more truth about myself. And I think, I don't know if that's because I'm turning 45 that I'm
It
having
might
these
be.
like these feelings
Might
of
be.
like, I was like, what is life all about? And I'm crying and going through, and I'm just like, man, I probably need to deal with some things that I have allowed work to kind of be my therapy. And now that I found a balance a little bit with work, it's like, okay, now what I do with myself. So now I've got to face some of the stuff I've allowed my 60 to 70 hour a week variety of jobs,
Yeah.
cover up for me.
Yeah.
And I'm struggling. I have not slept in 2 days. I probably have had 2 hours of sleep in within this time frame, to be completely transparent. And I don't look tired because I'm good at doing what we do best. I put that mask on. I muster up. I drink me a quick Coke or a Mountain Dew, and then I can get on the camera, or I can get on Zoom, or I can go into a room, and then I can perform. But phew,
Yeah.
that performance is wearing me out.
Yeah. You know,
It's wearing
it's funny
me
you
out.
say that, right? Well, not funny, but I was at the office tonight, right? And and before I left, there was a dad who is ordered to see his child, right? This one particular father been there probably about, this was his third visit, and one
Mm,
of the my monitors came to me. It's like, man, this guy, he is like real tense. I give him some direction on what we can do and can't do. He listened, but it's like, he passive aggressive. You know what I mean? And I know my monitor is a very good monitor, right?
yeah,
Experience, care about the people, but the human side of them is like, yo, he ain't gonna just disrespect me. You know what I
right.
mean? Can't do that. And so last week when they mentioned it to me, and I was just like, hey, just listen to it. I'm like, do you want me to say something to him? And he was like, no. I said, or do you want to give it another week? So it's like, no, let's give it another week. So they came back
Okay,
today, uh, said same type vibe, right? So I'm like,
right,
hey, do you want me to have a conversation with him? I said, but the thing about it is that you don't want it to be where he's only listening to me, right? You
right.
you need to have this. And she's like, yeah, you're right. Um, they said you're right, right? So what happened? I was like, you know what? How about this? We normally do a check in. Why don't you uh, tell him that I would like to check in with him
Yeah,
once he get done? And she was like, cool, right? So dad comes in, bro, sits down. So I'm just like, catching up, like, man, how do you feel? So his response, right, man, was so dope, man. And I'm gonna use this in my trainings because it was real. My man, he says to me, he says, I'm just gonna tell you, he's like, I never thought I'd be in this position. And he said, number one, coming into the hood, he is like, I don't want to come over here to the hood. I'm afraid. I'm scared. Uh, and so part of me on the inside is like, bro, I can be offended because I grew up in the hood, right? But I'm listening, going beyond, right? Still, um, you know, face in the moment, just listening to what he's saying. And he's just like, I shouldn't have to come here. I used to live in a $600,000 house, just going through all of this stuff, right? And so I let him talk, right? And then because I wanted to make that connection, Cole,
right.
I was like, I don't know what you're going through and what you feel, but I can understand to agree. I said, as a black man having to live in a certain community that I live in, I sometimes feel uncomfortable. So, you know what? Not that I know how you feel, but I understand to a degree of having
Yeah,
to go to. So I didn't want to dismiss, because I could have easily just dismissed his feelings as a man, right? But I didn't, right? I empathize. But this was the key, right? Is that as we started talking, because I know he was giving them some opposition. All I said to him was these words, bro. I looked him in his eyes. I said, man, look at me. He looked at me. I said, you are not a bad father. What's up, Father's Heart podcast family? Yeah, we have sponsorships now, and this week's sponsor is none other than Involved Dad. So listen up, fathers. Are you looking for a deeper understanding to understand fatherhood and make a positive impact in your children and families' lives? Look no further than Involved Dad, right? Where we create strong fathers through fatherhood engagement, right? It's extremely important for children to have fathers that are not only showing up, but they are showing out, that they are fully invested, they are fully engaged. So this week's sponsor is an agency, man, that knows the ins and out of fatherhood and know how to strengthen families, know how to fill the gaps and connect families to the right resources so they can live their best lives and become more and more successful. So listen, if you need assistance, if you know someone who need help on fathering, on parenting, co-parenting, or a father that is just struggling, right? That he does not know how and what to do about his next move, because this game that we call this life that we live, sometimes, man, it's like a game of chess, right? Like knowing your next move. And at Involved Dad, what we do, we help fathers make their next best move. So reach out to us, right? The number is 313-757-1388, and you can find us on the web as well, and that is involveddad.org. No S, because a lot of people put Involved Dads, although we want Involved Dads, but it's involveddad.org. So yes, listen, don't be average, you might as well be elite in your parenting and in fatherhood.
It's powerful.
Brother, the
Yeah.
tears poured like never before. He started to disclose that he felt less than the man of having to come to a place for somebody to watch him interact with his kids.
Yeah.
I have to go into an environment I don't feel comfortable with. The other party, he feels, is forcing him to come and be supervised. The other party was late 7 minutes, and he was adamant, I need to get my 7 minutes back. Are you going to send that in the report? And so I had to get him to see beyond what was going on. Like, man, I want you to learn how to just be. I was like, man, you're not a bad father, right? Life happens. Like, we went through the whole thing. My point is of what you're talking about, Cole. This dude was walking around with all of this stuff and didn't have anybody to talk to, right? At least it appears that he didn't have anybody to talk to, but he was putting off this persona that, that he was mad and angry at the world. But all he was hurting.
Yeah.
And then, a lot of times, man, as men, it comes out in various ways, man. And we just walk around with this trauma. The same thing that we're talking about. I just keep going. But I'm like, my wife, like, you walking heavy. You talking about you working 23 hours or 22 hours out the day, and then you show up and then da-da-da.
Yeah.
It has to give somewhere. Like, it has to give somewhere, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so my question to you is, like, you know better, so why don't you do something about it?
Cause, well, that question right there, right, poses. You see, I paused.
Yeah. No, but it's real, right?
because because I do think that that's what people think. I think people believe that when you know better, you do better. But
Come
I'd
on.
like to challenge that, because Yeah, when you know better, you're supposed to do better. But if you have created habits and you've created a narrative and a pathway of getting that need met very quickly versus addressing some of those unmet needs, it becomes really difficult. It's as simple as just I have this craving, and I know I'm not supposed to eat it, but it's a craving, and sometimes it's really hard to fight that. And so I'd like to say, yeah, I have the tools in front of me. I have the books. I've got, I mean, I'm doing the affirmations. I've got the music playing. I'm looking for a clinician or a therapist that, I feel like I could be open with and share and not get into a space where I'm being judged. But I think that it's the process
Yeah.
of it and getting to it is the challenging part. And it becomes really easy just to say, forget it, because I got a whole bunch of stuff on my plate anyway. I've got to get up. I've got to be in the routine. I got to be the worker. This constant engine that I find that I'm not the only one that's going through it. I think there are a variety, and many of us are just in the motion of trying to do it, and the idea of taking time to heal. I think people say the word heal, and it's like, okay, it's connected to a clock. Well, you got just this amount of time to work on your healing, and you should be better. And I'm like, man, yeah, it's not. That
But
time construct is challenging when it comes to healing. So I'm I wanted to bring this topic up because I just am curious about if there's any clinicians that are listening, and the clinicians that will see this. What are some ways in which a person that is looking for therapy can actually find it, um, in the time and era where therapy and clinicians are everywhere. I mean, you Google it, everything pops up, and so you have this variety of people to choose from. But even in that can be extremely overwhelming when I don't know what
yeah,
I'm supposed to pick when I'm looking for a therapist.
yeah.
Um, so
But
I,
I'm glad
so
you but Cole, I asked that question on purpose, man. So I'm glad that you was real, because that's the reality, right? We could come out and give all of these answers and give all of these solutions because we always do, but it's all
yeah,
right to not have an answer,
yeah,
right? I
yeah,
mean, I would tell you, like, on purpose, like, there was times when I knew I was supposed to do better about forgiveness and working through something. I'm gonna just keep it 100. I didn't want to. I wanted to be mad. I wanted that other person to suffer. It was what it was. I knew to do better. I had the information.
yeah,
I knew I was gonna have a great night's sleep because I was holding a grudge. But at
yeah,
that moment, I'm like, I don't care. I need them to suffer.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
need them to know that I'm pissed and that I'm hurt. I don't care.
yeah. I heard something really beautiful today in the training when we started to embark on the conversation of self care, and the one of the participants in the space said, what I just want to do? I just want to have the freedom of just blinking. That's my self care. I want a few minutes to just blink. And I thought about that, and I was like, that's revolutionary, because when we imagine what self care looks like, it's this big thing that you have to take out time. And just the idea of doing something that's related to self care can also be sometimes taxing, because now you have to create it and you have to go and do it, and you might have to pay for it. You have to schedule it. It becomes another task. And I thought it was really amazing when he just said, man, I just want to blink. And I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to incorporate that into my daily, um, I don't know, my daily
Practice,
goal to
practice, or
just
mindset, whatever.
practice. Yeah. So just this idea of like, I've been doing something called body work, where I've just kind of been in my body, because I'm always
Yeah,
in my mind. So I didn't know that was associated to being present. So I'm like, oh, okay, I feel tense. Why is my hand still so tense? Why are my shoulders tense? And just sort of recognizing what my body's telling me. And I think when we think about boys and we think about how we socialize men, our bodies have to be doing the work. Like it's the body itself, and sometimes we build the body up, but we don't often listen to the body.
Yeah.
I just thought that was really dope. To now I'm starting to listen to what I'm feeling. Like this hat I'm wearing, it's tearing this big forehead up. There's so I don't know if you can see, but it's like on this last button. Like there's so much pressure right here. You feel what I'm saying? But I do it because I know it's like my forehead ain't gonna be too exposed. But boy, there's pressure. I just want to pop this head off, but you do what you gotta do.
Yeah. No, yeah, boy. Listen, I get it. You see, I've been letting my gray grow out, man. So
I didn't want to say nothing.
yeah, I'm letting it come. I'm letting it come, man. I'm letting it come. I'm gonna see what happens. I'm gonna see what happens. But
I'm
and
proud of you.
and I had honestly like even little things like that, man. That was part of me just learning how to be, right?
Yeah.
Shakita said body scanning. Yeah, that's real,
Okay.
man. That's a such thing, right?
Yeah.
Of that body scanning and how you say just being aware of like why you're tense in
Yeah.
this spot and why you're intense in that spot. And I know, like man, I know, man. When
Yeah.
my wife, like I said, man, going back to when she talked about, man, when I'm walking heavy, bro,
Mm.
I know, I can hear it and I can feel, right?
Yeah.
Especially when she calls it out, I'm like, ooh, yeah,
Yeah.
Shon, you are walking heavy.
Yeah.
Shon, you are, um, and I'm learning uh, every day, bro, how to become a better me, right?
Yeah.
Without judgment. You know what I mean? Without judgment. That's the biggest piece, bro. Is learning how to become the better me without judgment, with my flaws, all of
Yeah.
those things, man. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
because if I don't, man, I will allow this stuff to overwhelm me and take me out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't want to go prematurely,
Yeah.
right? And I don't want to be the best version of myself because I'm allowing others to put pressure and expectations on me. I'm like, man, you can't put no higher expectations on me than I have of myself.
Yeah.
And I refuse to allow other people to do that. Um, and so that's why I'm just working on me, Cole. But I'm glad that you wanted to talk about this piece because I know I need to do better in the area of talking to somebody. Somebody, I mean, I got some really great people around me, right? But I'm talking about like somebody who is professional that can help
Yeah.
me process.
Yeah.
That can really, really help me process. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I
I've been.
tell you, man, I was just talking to my wife, man. I told somebody that I said there's three levels of where I'm at right now. The hardest jobs, and they ain't even really all that hard, but the hard jobs is being a father, like raising kids, right? Being a business leader,
Yeah.
and then marriage. Marriage used to be one of the hardest things. Now that's down here.
Yeah.
Being a business leader, man, bro, that's a whole. I've never been a business leader before, and the responsibility of having people work with you, having a team, bro, it's a whole different animal. Whole different animal. Um, and so that's what's like really been highlighting the part um, of really getting some therapeutic services, like the process that I don't say the wrong thing, right? That I
Yeah.
don't do the wrong thing.
Yeah. I think. Yeah, man. I think I've been going back to this infancy stage. I feel like because I thought I actually was loving people, um, but I soon realized that it's difficult to love people when you really don't know how to care for yourself. And so I've been really trying to figure out how to care for myself. Like, you know, it's great to be able to stand up in front of people and tell them the story of how I parented and how these roles that I played. But then, when I pull back that curtain, I'm like, oh, I don't really even know how to like truly like care for me and nurture me and talk to the 8-year-old boy that experienced the trauma and heal him and still be the man that you see on this camera here. So I'm learning how to connect with the little boy while still trying to nurture my thoughts and nurture my heart and nurture my pain. And like it's so much of like I realized I hadn't been nurtured. So I'm I thought I was nurturing, but I also didn't get an opportunity to do it for myself, and I was expecting others to do it for me.
Mm.
And so now I'm realizing, I'm like, oh, okay, you have to get the tools to be able to learn how to nurture and love and really care for yourself so that you can really show up authentically in spaces and in front of myself when I look myself in the mirror.
Yeah.
And I feel good about um, who what I'm carrying. So that I think, yeah, man.
It's a process, bro.
Uh,
You don't have to have the
it's
answer.
yeah,
That's the beautiful
yeah.
thing about it. This episode
That's the
tonight, we
part.
don't have the answer. We just being.
Yeah,
We just having a conversation. We don't have the answer, right?
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, find it for your. Shakita said all essential parts of evolving, and that's it.
yeah.
That's it. And I'm telling you,
That's
man,
it.
I'm okay with not having the answer.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
used to always have to have. I'm okay with not having the answer. It'll come.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I've been okay. I'm getting okay with just saying out loud what I really feel.
yeah, for real.
You know, So tapping into that.
So I
Um,
gotta so we gonna move, man. I got a witch call for us. So I'm gonna show the people. So y'all let me know, is this legit or not legit? So I don't know how well you can see this right here, but what you're looking at is my brother Cole's. He sent me this picture and I'm like, yo, we gotta use this as a legit or not legit. And he said, all right, we'll do it. But what you're looking at is Cole's setup for his podcast. I wish I could make this thing bigger. Oh, I can. Look at that. Look at that. He got an ottoman, a chess or slash checkerboard, and then his laptop. And if you could look at the top right there, that is his camera that is giving him his view. So right now, when you look at Cole, that is what is his setup. So my question to the people is his setup legit or not legit? That's the question. So put it in the chat. Is it legit or not legit? This is my answer. I say it is.
that's legit.
I'm gonna say it's legit. I'm gonna say it's legit, but we praying for you. But I'm gonna say it's legit though. Shakita said it's legit too. I'm gonna say it's legit because we work in progress. You know what I mean? But that was funny, Cole, that you used the ottoman, a chess
Listen,
slash checkerboard. Jody
look,
said legit. You should have
that's
seen
legit.
what I started with. That's upscale from what I started with. Jody, what you have, man? I'm
What
curious,
you have,
Jody. What you
Jody?
had, Jody? That's what I
It's
want to know,
legit,
Jody.
man.
What did you start with, brother?
Because when
That is funny.
You go to Sean's house, his desk moves up and down. He
Hey,
got cameras, the
hey,
lights.
hey!
It's
Watch out, man! Watch out, man! Watch out! Listen. I didn't start
man,
out this way either. I ain't started this way either, man. Hey,
man.
it's we work in progress, bro. But listen, Cole, man, I appreciate it. Ian, what do you say? Anything behind the scenes is legit. Oh, Ian said anything
Hey,
behind the scenes,
hey,
and listen. And if Ian says that, that's where it's at because Ian
Ian,
is the
listen,
camera guy. You know, he does
Ian,
all this.
Ian, I'm with you when you're right.
So he said, if it's anything behind the scenes, it's legit as long as you
Hey,
can't see it. Okay,
that's it,
okay,
baby. That's it.
okay.
That's it.
Jody
That's
said
it.
he had an iPhone attached to a piece of cardboard with a box tape. Then it started to slide, and I had to lower my chair to stay in focus. I love it. That's funny, Joe. Listen, man, we
Man,
appreciate you guys, man. We
yeah, we
appreciate you
do.
guys rocking with us, man.
Yeah,
Listen, we do this podcast, man, for you, for the people, bro. We don't do it for the likes, man. We do it for you, for the people, because we said we was gonna be committed, right? We want to have real conversations. We gonna have, we want to have real talk, right? And it is what it is. And tonight we ain't had the answers. We just showing you our humanity. We showing you
yeah,
who we really are. We out here trying and out here saving
yeah,
the world. But man,
man.
sometimes we need to be saved ourselves.
Yeah. So
So
hey, I'll keep you posted on my therapist journey.
yeah. Let
Who
us
I
know. Let us
who I
know.
find. Yeah, yeah,
We
we'll
ain't
do.
gonna we don't tell us who it is because
No,
we
no, I
may
won't do
all
that.
bum rush, and
Yeah, I
then what
won't do that.
happens? I mean, then they like yo, they don't have time for you anymore because their role is too deep. All right,
Yeah,
all
yeah,
right,
for sure,
man.
for sure.